Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions in the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, film, TV. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, I go as PD Beats. My guest is an actor in a film, one of my favorites lately, called Summer of '84. He plays Woody. We are with Caleb Emery. Caleb, welcome to Popternative.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. No problem. Icebreaker question. Actors, actresses, musicians, writers, they're storytellers. When did Caleb Emery decide that he wanted to be a storyteller?
Probably after I graduated high school, so around 18, I decided I was taking a film class in high school, and I was like, I'm going to do this, I think, for the rest of my life, so...
Absolutely. For people that don't know about Summer of '84, talk a little bit about the film and talk a little bit about your character Woody in that film.
Okay, yeah. So Summer of '84 is based on four boys in the summer of 1984 that go on a hunt to try to find a serial killer that is killing kids their age. It's like a coming-of-age thriller. And and Woody basically plays best friends with Davey, which is our like main kid that kind of herds us all into going after this serial killer. And Woody just plays that best friend that I think everyone has, that's kind of always there for you and like is willing to like, I would say, like stick their neck out in a sense. And even if he doesn't want to, type thing.
No, absolutely. It's funny because, anytime someone makes a movie or makes something, you want it to be unique. You want it to be its own thing. When I watched it and talked to some of my friends, it kind of had a little bit of, just because of the whole 80s and the kids on their bikes and everything, the Stranger Things feel to it. Yeah. Has anyone ever said that to you before?
Yeah, so when we went into Sundance last year, we premiered there, and a lot of the articles and things that were coming out before there compared us to Stranger Things, and I think it also came out, which was based in the 80s, and it was a bunch of kids as well. So we got that a lot, and I think what was cool was the audience viewing it after was like, no, that wasn't like what we expected, because everyone was like, oh, Stranger Things, but like with a serial killer. Yeah. And they watched it and they were like, no, these kids aren't really like Stranger Things. Like it's a different world. And it was cool to watch people, like it helped us, I think, in a sense. Like I don't want to put it like anything bad against it, because we definitely got a lot of people wanting to watch it because they like Stranger Things.
Yep.
But at the same time, they were able to change their opinion based on once they watched it.
Oh, absolutely. I think the one thing, too, that I find interests me a lot is this is a film that has been categorized as like a horror film, and you watch the film, and it has, like, I'm hoping people will watch the movie after we talk about this. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's one of those things where it has its moments where it is very scary.
Yeah,
it does. Like, I will tell you that majority of it is just a coming of age, these kids, you know what I mean, trying to get this serial killer. But it's one of those things where it does have its moments, man.
Yeah, like definitely in like the act 1 of the script, it is more of like a coming of age, and then act 2 kind of starts to turn the page a little bit, and then the time you get to act 3, that's when you're like, whoa, okay, like, yeah, we're in the middle of a horror film.
I was talking to my mom about this because she can't do certain horror movies. Like, for like The Strangers, The Strangers those movies. Like, she can't do those because they're like realistic, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, I want like the ghost ones, the zombie ones, you know what I mean? It's like a fantasy pretty much, but the movies, like, especially like Summer of '84, which is a realistic thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the horror movies that scare people a lot more, I find.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. I mean, if you put yourself back in the 80s when we didn't have technology and things like that, I mean, what's scary is the fact that like if something bad happens, you can't just like call somebody and like on your iPhone. Like it's like you don't have access to that. Like we used walkie-talkies in the movie, and we were able to like use things that like from the 80s that's all we had. So it's like if a serial killer is on the loose killing kids that are like 16, 15 years old, I mean, and you guys are out playing in your neighborhood, like what kind of safety guarantees do your parents have letting you go out? So I mean, it is a realistic scary thing, and in the world we live in, you never know.
No, absolutely. Caleb, talk a little bit about the cast. I mean, go into more specifics, but this is an amazing cast in summer of '84. This is a cast that had, people that you'll recognize from shows like Riverdale and shows like Glow and Love, and then you have, of course, Judah from The Babysitter on Netflix. I mean, just an amazing all-around cast, man.
Yeah. As far as the boys go, we had Graham Brashear, Corey Gruter, and Judah Lewis, and myself. All those boys are, incredible. They're Graham is in Good Doctor on a pretty regular basis. Corey is in Anne with an E on Netflix, and then of course Judah is filming like every movie on like everywhere. It feels like he just did. There's actually a Christmas movie coming out with oh shoot, I can't think of the name of it now. It was like Christmas Chronicle or something like that.
Yeah, with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
He's in that?
Yeah, he plays the main kid in that. So
good for him. Have you seen The Babysitter?
Yeah, I watched The Babysitter. I mean, it came out after we got done, so I watched it.
I loved it. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, and he did phenomenal, too. I mean, honestly, like, the boys, when we met up, like, we all met in Canada, and we got to hang out. And I actually met Judah in the airport on the way to Canada. But we all got along really, really well, and we were able to have that chemistry. And, like, it helps that they were talented, and I was able to bring something as well. But yeah, and then as far as like, we have Tiara Scovey from Riverdale and Once Upon a Time, and she just did a movie called Two Hearts that'll be released soon. She's one of my best friends to this day still. Like we're, I think, actually hanging out tonight. So
wow.
Yeah, she's extremely talented. Obviously, she works all the time. So that
she was also in the unauthorized Saved by the Bell movie.
Yeah.
On Lifetime, I believe she was in that.
Yeah, she was. Me and her fiance were just joking about that the other night because they have a restaurant here about Saved by the Bell. But yeah, then that brings us to Rich Sommer, which is like, he's Rich Sommer. He's in Glow and Love, and he's shooting a series right now, I think, in Toronto until the end of the year. I want to think it's for Netflix as well. But he's incredible. I mean, I got
so good, man. Like I'm telling you, this role in Summer of '84, like he played so well, dude.
Yeah, I remember when. So he was I was the second to last cast in the movie, and then it was him, and they had put an offer to him, and then they were waiting to hear back. But when they told me it was him, and then we met, and we got to spend some time. Obviously, if you watch the movie. You'll see, like, he was around us quite often. And he's just, he's very knowledgeable. He's somebody you can really learn from as far as in acting. And, like, I consider him, like, whether he'll take this or not, as one of my mentors. I don't know if he'll accept that. But I look up to him, and, he's one of my heroes in acting. And I appreciate him a lot. And he was phenomenal to work with.
You mentioned, Graham's on, The Good Doctor. I mean, that's a TV show. We were talking about the movie, but you've also been on a TV show. You're in Good Girls. It's one of those things where, what do you kind of like about working in film, and what do you kind of like about working in television? Because obviously there's a lot of, the audition process is the same, but there's going to be differences in the way maybe they're presented to you.
Yeah, I have an appreciation for both. When I started my career, I started filming movies, and I did a bunch of them early, like probably 10 to 15 features before I even like really booked a solid show. And one thing I like about movies is a lot of times they're filmed on location. So you'll get to go somewhere, like whether it's Canada or Georgia or New York or wherever, you get to go and you spend like, 2 to 3 months there with a select group of people. So it's almost like a summer camp in a sense, where a TV show is more like spread out and it can last, 4 months, it could last 6 months, just depending on your seasons. And typically they're shot in LA. So for me, like Good Girls, the first season was shot in Georgia, and this season we're shooting in LA, and I live out here. So it's like I just go to work and then come home, and it's like, although it's fun and it's really fun to shoot the show, it doesn't give you that like, vacation summer camp vibe.
Oh no, absolutely. That'd be a good series or a movie concept, about like kids or like a cast met, like that whole summer camp concept about the kids that are like filming a movie.
Yeah.
And like what goes on. Like that would be a good concept. I'm sure someone probably has made something like that before, but that idea of like the bonds that kind of take place and you're with each other, like Rich Summers was in Love, and Love, the part of that show that I loved. Have you seen that show on Netflix?
Yeah.
So the thing I loved about that show was the whole thing with Arya and like the kids that were getting like the school of all the kids on set and everything. Like I love that. Like the behind the scenes is amazing of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how Summer of '84 was. I mean, we shot in the summer, which helped for schooling reasons. But like, I mean, we, as far as us four boys went, we spent a lot of time together, and like even on our breaks, we like had barbecues, or we would go like to a show, or we'd go see a movie or something, and like we really like spent that whole like 2 months of shooting just together.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Now I want, like, this is my favorite part, but when I have actors and actresses on the show, I love asking this question because I always get different answers. Sometimes I get the same answers, but maybe, from your perspective, I like asking about like misconceptions of the industries, right? So basically, like a lot of people think they know everything about everything on social media about the industry, right? They're like, oh yeah, you're an actor. I know exactly what you have to do. You know what I mean? But like, what are some misconceptions about your industry from your perspective? Like in the past, the ones we get often are, for example, you're in Summer of '84. Wow, like I've never heard of you before. That must have been like your first and only movie. Like you've never done anything else. You know what I mean? Oh, but I've been doing it for 10 years almost. You know what I mean? That's one. The whole thing that there's kind of this breed of like middle class actors and actresses that like are just like working kind of like a 9-to-5 basis every week on different commercials, different shows and stuff, and are not really part of the whole like glamorous life. You know what I mean? What's something that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, that. I mean, like, so I come from a very small town, and a lot of like friends and family ask me the same thing, and they're just like, "What do you do? Like, do you just film and then like film something else and then film something else?" And I'm like, "No, it's more like I just audition and then like read a script and then audition and audition and audition." And it's like the amount of times I audition, like most people think. Okay, so the reality is people only see you on TV or movies. Mm-hmm. Like they don't know what happens to get to that TV or movie. And so what really happens is about 100 auditions, and then you get to see me in a show or a movie.
And you're not exaggerating. Like it's 100 auditions.
Yeah, like I shot like 8 of them last week. Like, so it's like, and they're all for different things. And it's like, you get one out of 100, and that's just the game. It's a game of numbers.
Is that what it is? Like 10%?
Yeah, I mean, it varies depending on, like, I go out for everything. Like, obviously, we have a targeted type of, like, shows or movies that, like, my team, my manager and agents, like to get me. But, yeah, we'll read for a lot of stuff. And, we don't always, like, it's not always like, oh, he booked it. Like, it's a lot of, and, sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, somebody's trying to call me on the other line.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But yeah. So it's a base of numbers, and like I would say 10% is probably good for me to say that I audition, but that's something that people really don't think about is like how many auditions do I do before I actually book a show or a movie.
Okay. Oh. My whole thing just restarted too, so it's all good. I edit it, so it's fine. So just a few more questions and we'll wrap up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, for sure. It's a grind. And in the podcast or sports, social media, that entertainment aspect of the industry too, that's it's a grind everywhere. You know what I mean? When Orange is the New Black's last season came out, I interviewed a few people from the show, like Mike Houston, who's also in Sneaky Pete, and he was kind of saying that you also have to pay the bills. People think that, he says, when I'm not working or not booking anything, he's like, I need to work and work at a sandwich shop that my friends own. And then people say whoa, aren't you the guy from Orange is the New Black? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, what are you doing here? And then he's like, man, there's a lot you need to know about the industry.
Yeah, it's not a constant. You have the obvious celebrities that you're like, those guys are killing it and they have mansions in the hills, but the rest of us, which is the majority of Hollywood, we could film a lot, and maybe if you're conservative and you live right, you can live off of it based on what you did and your savings. But it's not you're not getting rich off one movie type thing.
What is your favorite thing about being in movies and TV shows?
I think it's I don't know, that's a good question. I want to say it's the entertaining of people. I've always liked to entertain, whether it's making them laugh or in Summer of '84, when you follow Woody, you feel something, you feel his home life, and you feel, you get those emotions. And I think that's something that I like. I like to be able to take something that somebody else wrote and own it and make you feel that way. So I would say, in an easy one word, it's entertaining. But being able to play people and play characters that you aren't and that you might never would experience other than just in acting.
No, for sure, man. Well, Caleb, we'll wrap up, but thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Awesome. Yeah, of course. Plug away, man. Where could people follow you on social media? What could they be looking out for? Where could they see Summer of '84? Plug away, man.
Yeah, so social media, it's all under just at Caleb Emery. I'm on a TV show called Good Girls on NBC that the second season should be airing at the beginning of this following year. I have a movie coming out called Run the Race.
I saw the trailer for that today, actually. That looks cool.
Yeah, and then I just finished a movie with Regina Hall and Issa Rae called Little, produced by Will Packer. So that date, I think, hasn't been released yet. Maybe it's on IMDb. But yeah, that. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's just at Caleb Emery. And then, those shows and movies coming out.
And where can they watch Summer of '84?
Summer of '84 is now exclusively on, or it's Shudder's exclusive movie. So if you have Shudder, I know that's a new, quite popular thing right now.
Shudder's huge, iTunes, man. It's huge. Horror. I don't think people realize how big that industry is right now. The horror movie industry.
Yeah, it's I mean, those are some of the best movies to get to watch, especially right now. I mean, we're in the middle of October.
Yeah, I've been watching one every night. Yeah. I've been literally watching one every night, sometimes two, but it's nuts. There's so many of them.
It's wild. So yeah, Shudder has it, and then iTunes, of course, has it. Whether you're in, the U.S. or Canada or overseas, and I know they're running deals on there, as well as I believe it's on Amazon. So.
Very cool, man. That's awesome. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for all the video episodes, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to just listen to us and not see us, maybe you want to see Caleb, you might not want to see me, but you can listen. Spotify or iTunes. Until next time, it's Caleb Emery and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.